It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, it is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, live right here on SABC3. It is a Monday. We're starting a brand new week, and of course, it's time for us to get into relationship talk. Now, the progression of time is something we are constantly made aware of from a young age, and it becomes of acute consideration when we start dating and we take into account where we are in our lives. Now, the concept of the biological clock for women is also something that we are made aware of from early on, and today we're unpacking how much of a factor it is in the modern day and age.
That's right. So today we're asking the question, does the dating game change as women and men grow older? And this morning we're joined again by celebrity psychologist and CEO of Hidden Dimensions, Charissa Bloomberg, to help us discuss this hot topic. And of course, we would love to hear your questions and comments as well. So feel free to head through to our Facebook page, drop a comment on this post, and we will engage with you live, large, and in charge. Charissa, so good to have you back on the show. Let's talk about this concept of the biological clock.
Yes.
Is it an actual thing?
I can hear it ticking. No,
Oh, wow.
It is. I'm coming a bit later how it's connected to women and how we need to look at that. But let's look at what a biological clock is. We all have that. It's internal neuro. It goes tick-tock, tick-tock. But it's responsible for when to go to sleep, when to wake up, our alertness, our metabolism. And unfortunately, it's related to your lifespan. And that's where the connection comes in with a woman. Because as a woman ages from 35 to 37, she becomes less fertile. And that's why they click the benign biological to the woman's time running out.
So what sort of feelings and desires will a woman typically experience when this clock kicks in or starts ticking loud enough for you to hear it yourself?
Yes. So here's the key thing. There isn't any evidence that the biological clock clicks in. There isn't any hormones related to that, and there isn't any physical there. That is emotional. So a woman starts thinking, I'm 35, I'm 37, I need to have children soon. And then it's more the pressure from society. And the feelings is broody. I want to be pregnant. I want to have a baby. I want to be part of the mommy group because that's big. And every time she sees a baby, they get googly. Is there such a word? But really, that's the feelings, like they want to produce and conceive and have a baby.
I feel like you're so right. It's not necessarily something that comes from the woman's point of view, but society. Everyone around her listening to the voices that said, you're getting older, you need to have a baby, where she in her own personal life might feel, I'm actually good right now. You know, I'm doing what I want to do, I'm progressing in my career when the time is right. But I think society makes us feel, I've somehow missed out on something.
And now there's some women that actually don't want children, so that biological clock, as we so call it, doesn't tick in.
And it might tick for other different reasons that aren't necessarily marriage or having children or anything like that.
Are men prone to the biological clock as much as women are?
No, unfortunately not. They're not given enough airtime and airspace on it. But it does apply to them, Leanne, because as they get to 45 and 50, am I allowed to say the word sperm? Their sperm count gets lower, and it takes longer to impregnate a woman. And there could be pregnancy abnormalities. So we need to focus more on that as well.
Interesting.
So if a woman is focusing on an end goal of, say, for example, having a family, how soon should they make their potential partners or their partners in current relationships aware of it?
Now, that is a tricky question. Not on that first date.
Hello,
I want children. Tell me.
By next month.
Yes. Are you interested? Very, very tricky, because you also don't want to waste time, and you don't want to find yourself 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line, and he or she, whichever way it is, doesn't want children. So very tricky, but I think it's time that we make our needs known. We're not going to know, and you can stay stuck in a relationship for a long time. And there's ways to do it. You know, there's just ways. You can possibly say, you know, I'd love to have a family one day. Wouldn't you? You know, there are ways to get around that.
But I think the older you get, the less time you have to waste. You either know what you want or you don't know what you want. And I think that's what the biological clock is also about. You're not about out here dating for 10 years, not knowing where we're going. We need a plan.
And I suppose the most important thing then becomes, especially if you are single and finding yourself at a point where the biological clock is starting to kick in, being quite frank and open in conversation. So when you do meet potential partners, having them know that you have an aspiration that is quite almost urgent to do certain things in your life so that they're not dragging you along for a long time.
Here,
you know what I mean?
Well, we're asking the question on social media, does the dating game change for men and women as they grow older? You can drop a comment on our Facebook page, that is Expresso Morning Show SABC3, and we, of course, will engage with you live.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Expresso right here on SABC3. It's Monday, so we're talking relationships. And today, celebrity psychologist Charissa Bloomberg is on the hot seat to help us discuss how the dating game changes between men and women as we grow older. And we'd love to hear some of your questions and comments. So head over to our Facebook page, drop a comment on this post, and we will engage with you like we're about to do right now.
Yes, we've gotten some really nice comments coming through from you guys on Facebook. Here's Charlie Kamunjoma saying, of course, as you get older, you get mature. And every mature human being knows that decisions concerning relationships are based on long-term thinking rather than temporary moments. And that sounds true, hey?
Yes, absolutely. And here, you know, the men also need to take responsibility for the uterus expiry date, if you want.
Wow.
So yes, that is very mature
You think
thinking.
about the future.
Yeah, and it's a gentleman, yes. Well
And
said.
Gary Okamp, another gentleman, sent us a comment as well. He says, I'm not a woman, but I am gay. And let me tell you, I get as broody as a mother hen at full moon. Really can't wait for my babies. I'm going to adopt twin boys. he says.
Wow, getting right in there.
And that's such an important thing to note and to know about yourself as an
Yes.
adult, right? So that if you are actually in the dating market, when you do go out on those dates, you want to be able to say, hey, I would love to have children one day.
Yeah.
And very soon I'd love to adopt children so
Yeah.
that conversation is opened up.
Yes, absolutely. But you know what also we didn't speak about is just to take the pressure off oneself, you know, even as a woman, to know that you can freeze the eggs, although it's expensive, you can adopt, you can do lots of things to take the pressure so you don't have desperate written across. Yeah.
Here's a funny thing, though. We're talking about this whole uterus and expiry date. I think it was about maybe 2.5 weeks ago on the news. You might remember this. I read that there was very interesting research that had been done that found that women who have babies later on in life are the babies are happier. The women are happier because they've somehow done everything that they wanted to do, or most of it. They've kind of, you know, reached the goals that they wanted to reach in life. They are a lot more financially stable than women who have maybe, because they were afraid of the biological clock, had babies earlier on in life. I'm not saying that they're not successful. I'm just talking about this new research that's found that women who have had babies at later 30s are a lot happier, and so are the babies as well. And there isn't expectation placed on the kids on living out dreams that I wasn't able to live out because I had them so young.
Point.
You know, that's quite interesting as well.
That's very interesting, yes. The more mature you are, you cope with it better and you've got everything out the way.
And you've done
you're more
most of what
patient.
you wanted to do. Yeah.
I think that's excellent.
Toddlers and tiaras, none of that happening.
Tiaras, none of that happening. But if a woman finds herself in a relationship which she sort of doesn't see raising a family happening within that relationship, should she be leaving that relationship then?
That's a tough one, you know, because I obviously love the man.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think that they should sit down and communicate and talk about why the partner doesn't want the children.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because a friend and colleague was saying to me, sometimes you sit down and you talk to the man and he's just doesn't, well, he's had kids, he doesn't want to get up and do the nappy change. And you can say, well, okay, you know, you don't have to. Or he's scared of dying, or he's scared of financially providing. So I'd get to the reasons firstly before you decide to walk away.
But I also think, is it important to have this conversation before going into a deeper relationship with someone? This is a conversation that I think people wait to have too late. It really should be one of the first, do you want to have kids one day? I think it's not going to change once you're in the relationship. Most people think it will. But oftentimes they're like, but I told you when we first met, I don't want kids. It's not going to change 5 years in, maybe.
No, and you think you're going to get the person to change or force them to change or trick them into changing. It's not going to happen. I don't know why we're too scared to talk about it.
We have
and
to
at least
talk
in the
about those
first 3
things.
months. Don't wait a year.
Yeah.
You know.
But how can men and women be so much more straightforward in their interactions around relationships and expectations right from the beginning? How do you do that? How do you start that conversation without scaring the next person away? Because, of course, if someone's very set in their idea of how they want their relationships to pan out, introducing that conversation can sometimes come across a little bit aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you do it
Yes.
in a way that still shows you off to be a considerate, smooth operator?
Yes, you don't want to scare the person away. But here's the thing, we really have to be honest, because our partners are not psychic. They don't know our needs, our wants, our goals, our values, our hopes, our dreams.
Yeah.
We have to just share it, and share it in a very calm, loving way.
Yeah.
You know, I want to do this. Just sit down and say, tell me about your future and what do you think?
Yeah.
And these are my hopes and dreams. I so would love a family. I'm not sure, what are you
What do you
thinking?
think?
And you can say my parents were divorced and I want to be this amazing mother.
Yeah.
You know, talk about it nicely, or just say, when you were with your nephews, you were just amazing with the children. I'm wondering if you...
Yeah. Teresa likes those
Nudge.
words. Talk about it nicely. Talk to me
Talk to
nicely.
me nicely.
Talk to me
Yes.
nicely.
I love that,
Nicely.
Charissa. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. You're always such a light shining when we are seeing just a little bit of darkness in the way that we go into relationships. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. We cannot plan for, of course, what's going to be happening in life all the time. But when it comes to relationships, I do think that it is worthwhile to talk about things. Never be afraid to talk things through, because it is your future. And hopefully you can go into the future in a very happy, bright and planned way. Thank you so much, Charissa.
Thank you
You've been
both of you.
amazing. That's
Thank
our relationship
you.
chat
Thank
on this
you.
Monday.